we always want to touch base with the mission of a Toastmasters club, and that mission is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. So let's hear it for our mission. And Ray, we clap a lot. So if your hands happen to be a little chilly, need some exercise, you can certainly join in. We find that enthusiasm is a useful feature in our meetings.
Yeah. Yep.
With that, we've welcomed our honored guest, Ray, and we have the mission. Please remind me, who is our Toastmaster for the evening? Is it Art? That's what I thought. Okay. So since we have a full meeting, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Art as our Toastmaster for the evening.
Thank you, Madam President. One of my jobs as a Toastmaster is to introduce the role players who will help the meeting run smoothly. I am a role player as what's called the ah counter. Ahs are representative of a group of sounds that people sometimes get in the habit of making, and being famous examples. But any word that's used to fill an uncomfortable silence instead of allowing silence to be there. The word and can be used improperly to string sentences together. So I will be listening for all of those kinds of sounds and giving a brief report at the end of the meeting. The next role player I'd like to call on is our timer for this evening, Jean Symington Craig. Jean, could you tell us what you'll be doing as the timer?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. As the timer, my job is to time certain sections of the meeting, make sure that we're delivering our content not only effectively, but within the time constraints. So tonight we do have a presentation. Bob, did you want a 15, a 17 and a half, a 20? Did you want a 18, 19, 20? What did you want?
I'll just go with 15, just because you might have some questions for me. My speech will probably be 7 to 8 minute round, and if each person would ask a question a minute, so I probably double that, right?
Well, what does the project say that is the time that you're allowed?
Anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay, anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. Well, we'll just go
with the 15-minute mark. I'm good.
Okay. So I'll give you a green card at 15, and then I'll give you a yellow card at, you want maybe 19? Do you want to go up to or where do you want the yellow card?
Let's go 17.
Okay, so 15, 17, and then 20 is the red card. Okay, so
yeah.
Bob is doing a prepared speech tonight, a presentation. He's been working on that, and I will be timing. So at 15 minutes, I will hold up this green card, which is slightly chewed from our puppy. And then at 17, I will put up the yellow card. And then at 20, I will put up the red card. And then Bob will have up to 30 seconds after that to complete. Otherwise, he will be out of time and won't be eligible for the competition tonight. The table topics, we will have a little time for that, and that's the impromptu speaking section. The talks will be 1 minute. At 1 minute, I'll give a green card. At 1.5 minutes, I'll give the yellow card. And at 2 minutes, I'll give the red card. And then you have 30 seconds after that to finish up. So keep an eye on the cards so you know where you are. Also to mention in table topics, you do have up to 30 seconds before you actually make your first utterance to compose your thoughts and establish a coherent answer, hopefully around the question that's been asked. And it's all impromptu, so you don't quite know what it's going to be. And Ray, you're welcome to join in that as well. Maybe watch a couple people do it, and we'll see kind of what timing we have. And then also we will have evaluators. Our speech evaluator will get 2 to 3 minutes. So at 2 minutes, I'll show the green card. At 2.5 minutes, I'll show the yellow card. And at 3 minutes, I'll show the red card. And then there'll be additional 30 seconds to complete and finish up. And I will be giving a report at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jean. Bob, in your role as grammarian, would you explain to us what you'll be doing?
Yes. My role as grammarian is I will be listening carefully to their language usage. I'll take notes of any improper language, as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. And it is my duty as grammarian to give you the word of the day, which I put out there is called ensuing. Mm-hmm. And it happens, which means it happens after something and because of it. An example was he had become separated from his parents and the ensuing panic.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll note that Alex Gibbons will be our general evaluator, from whom we'll hear more at the second half of the meeting. She's also a joke master this evening. There'll be an opportunity for her to make us laugh. Now, at this point, I'd like to ask Dan Craig, Bob's evaluator, to explain the objectives for the project that Bob is doing. Dan.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. Tonight, Bob is going to be giving a project in Presentation Mastery Level 4 called Manage Online Meetings. The purpose of the project is for the member to practice facilitating an online meeting or leading a webinar. It says the member will deliver a well-organized meeting or webinar. Depending on the type, the member may facilitate a discussion between others or disseminate information to attendees at the session. The member should use excellent facilitation and public speaking skills. The time of the project is, yes, Bob?
We have a little bit of confusion. I am Presentation Mastery, and I should have sent it over to you. However, I was doing a different project. It was the question and answer. It was to pick a speech on anything. And then after I get my speech, then it was a Q&A about the speech, and then it can last up to 15 minutes or, upwards of 20. So I apologize for the...
Okay. I don't have an evaluation guide. Do you have it? If you don't have it handy, I will just use what I've got.
Yeah. So sorry for the confusion.
Okay. I'm going to send it back to the Toastmaster, who will introduce Bob.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Our speaker tonight, Bob Fogel, is a 2 to 3 year member of Golden Speakers. He is an immediate past president and a rollicking good storyteller. Bob is a entrepreneur. He owns his own business, repairing foundations and basements, Fogel Basement Repair. And tonight he is giving a project about managing a Q&A session. Bob, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Welcome, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, and honorable guests. Wherever you go, there you are. It's not just a fancy saying, which we like to say, it's an accurate, merciless picture of your life today. Why? You may ask. It is simply because you become what you think about. Let me say it again. You become what you think about. Interestingly enough, we don't attract to ourselves what we want. We attract to ourselves what we think about most of the time. And our thoughts, they can be controlled with self-discipline. Mind you, there are millions of people out there that believe themselves doomed to poverty and failure beneath some strange force over which they have no power. They are creatures of their own misery and misfortune because of their thought patterns that have entered into their subconscious mind. Now, keep in mind, your subconscious mind directs you more so than your conscious mind. And your subconscious mind can be directed by your thoughts mixed with the emotions and thoughts. I'll have you know that every thought that you have, if by repeated thought, repeated verbiage, repeated out, if you mix emotion with it, it will become your life. People that have failed, they have mixed emotions in their life within their subconscious mind, and they have brought it into the physical realm of their lives today. And excuse me, got a twitchy eye here. I want to share a true story of two men. It turned out to be the blunder turned into a success, despite overwhelming event that played out before thousands, if not millions of people over the airwaves. In the year 1929, the team, the Golden Bears in Pasadena, California, were going to the Rose Bowl. They were playing Georgia Tech. And in that game, Georgia Tech fumbled the football, aka Roy Riegels, also known as the wrong way, picked up the football, looked up, saw the goalpost, and started running as fast as he could. He ran 69 yards. The crowd was cheering, and he was just so focused on the goal. When he heard Long, the quarterback, yelling, "Wrong way!" At the 1 yard line, he stopped. Long tackled him. And the Georgia Tech players tried to pick him up and put him in the end zone. Coach Nibs Price did some fast thinking in order to save his team from losing their thoughts. He decided to punt. As the punt goes up, Tech guy, he blocks it, and they knock it into safety for 2 points. Excuse me. For 2 points. And it was about halftime. And at halftime, the team went in, and there was Roy off the side crying. His fellow teammates tried to encourage him. "It's okay, it's okay." Well, the halftime was about over. And Coach Nibs said, "All right, team, who's ever played the first half, go back out for the second half." Of course, Roy, he did not move. Again, coach said, whoever played the first half, go back out second half. Roy did not move. Coach Nibs, being a smart man, went over to Roy. Roy said, "What, coach? I've ruined you. I've ruined myself. I've ruined University of California. I can't go back out there. There's no way I can face this." Coach Nibs simply put his hand on the shoulder of Roy and said, "Buddy, the game's only half over." What an encouraging word from Coach Nibs. Coach Nibs, he had a motto, and he stuck by his motto. His motto was simple: team, we will be successful as one. When you're out there, I'm out there. We go as a team. What's interesting about that statement is that Coach Nibs took on Roy's feelings, took on Roy's adversity. And in doing so, Nibs put the seed of thought. You can do this. Get back out there. Roy had a chance, had a choice. His choice was, I can accept failure, I can accept defeat. Or I can believe what coach is saying, and I could come back and do the best I've ever done. And as you probably might guess, as the story goes, he went back out there and he played a stellar game, Roy did. Interestingly enough, since the event, wherever he went, he was known as Wrong Way. When they did interviews, he was known as Wrong Way. However, what Coach Nibs did for him by giving him the confidence, by thinking clearly that it was just a temporary failure or defeat, he went on, Roy did, to coach football for the high school, for junior college. He became an officer inside the military and fought in the war. In addition to that, he became an executive in a business for agriculture and then moved on to make his own business, at which time he retired as a multimillionaire. He never gave up on that seed that Coach Nibs put inside his mind. He would not accept defeat. My challenge to all of us, just like Roy, we all have small or big dreams still today. And I believe it's never too late to act upon your dreams. And if you can receive anything, if you can receive encouragement, even from 100 years ago, approximately, from Coach Nibs, with a hand on your shoulder and saying, the game's only half over. Get back in there. You can do it. Shake it off. Shake off your blunders. Shake off the past. And go for it. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. Questions, anyone?
Now, how would you like to manage the Q&A session?
How would I like to manage it? Well, there might be some questions that you might have as how I came up with this conclusion that I can plant a seed in your mind and that you could consume it, so to speak, make it grow so you could become successful or overcome an outcome by your thoughts. I think that might be a good question. You might ask the question is, where did I get this information? Did I just make it up? Or did I pull it from a book? Or did I pull it from a movie? Or where did I get this information? And do you believe what I'm telling you? Things of that nature. And then you can let your mind go from there and ask and fire away.
I think Jean has a question for you.
Yes, Jean.
Bob, do you have occasion from your own personal experience where this wisdom came into play to your advantage?
Thank you for the question, Jean.
Mhm.
Yes, I have.
Mhm.
Case in point, I had got fired from a job where I worked out in a factory. And at that time, I couldn't even collect unemployment because I made the biggest blunder at work. And I didn't feel like I was worthy of getting a job anywhere. What I simply did was I put myself out there with another company, and the guy that hired me, he believed in me for some reason, and I wasn't quite sure why. But in believing me, he could see that I had a talent for laying blocks and work with Mason, that I enjoyed it. And he kept encouraging me, and I kept feeding on it. Like, yes, I can do this. Here I come from a failure of a fire from a job, being incompetent, and so on and so forth, to doing what I was put in front of me and keep pushing and pushing until I own my own business. Back to you, Gene.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
That
More questions for Bob.
Yes, Alex.
Hi, Bob. Thank you for all this information. That's very valuable information. My question is in regards to the subconscious mind. You said that this is really what guides us without us even becoming aware of it.
Yes.
Can you develop a little more about the role of the subconscious mind?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Alex. The subconscious mind, not many people know too much about it, other than the fact that it's incalculable what it can do in a person's life. That being said, when I mentioned that repetition, in other words, let's say that I want to change a habit in my life for the better. I want to become a better athlete. Right now, I'm not in the best shape. However, what I would simply do is I would write out a clear statement of what I want to be with a date set at the weight I want it to be. And then in addition to that, on a night, I would carry a card with me, reading my statement aloud. And before I went to bed every night, I would lay there and I would concentrate, thinking. I would actually visualize myself at a weight that I wanted to be. I would actually visualize myself in the muscular build that I want to be. And I would think and just run this over and over and over in my mind. And then in addition to that, I might keep something on my mirror to remind myself, kind of like a checklist for an airplane. Like a pilot, he has to have a checklist when he takes off and when he lands. Well, same thing about success, same thing about my subconscious mind. I got to have that daily reminder to read, oh, yeah, I need to do this, I need to do that. And the reason I say that is because a dull pencil can be better than a sharp mind. That's why I say write it down.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Alex.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a question for you, Bob.
Sure.
So did Wrongway play for the same team again in the following years?
That's a very good question. Yes, he did. He went to be captain. They voted him captain of the following year. And then he also went on to another, he became captain the following year. That much I do remember. But beyond that, I don't know from there.
You didn't, so far as you know, did he have a professional career in football or not?
Well, no, he became coaches. He moved on from there. He became high school coach, junior college coach, and then moved on to the business world. He served as an officer in the war, World War II.
Uh-huh.
But he kept the same attitude that whatever came his way, that he wasn't going to let defeat get him down.
Mm-hmm.
What I found interesting enough about him is that wherever he went, it kind of riled him up a little bit, being called wrong way. But after a while, he just kind of, that's just what happens when it happens, and he really didn't let it bother him too much anymore, which I found interesting for myself. As you'd think, well, I got fired for incompetence. It's nothing you want to share, but after a while, it's like, yeah, so what? That was then. This is now, and look how it got me to where I am.
Mhm. Mhm.
I apologize, folks. We have a smoke alarm going off here.
Okay, if we see you going up in flames, we'll disconnect you from the call.
Let's take 2 minutes to evaluate. So what we can do, everybody has access to the chat function. Send a private message directly to Bob with your thoughts about his presentation.
Mhm. And Ray, you're welcome to do that too. Do the private message if you want to, Bob, just something maybe that you enjoyed about his speech, or anything that you thought might be a suggestion that he could find useful. Don't have to, but feel free.
Suggestions are always welcome.
Mhm.
Sorry about that, Bob. I ended up sending it to everyone.
I know, that's so fun.
Yeah, that's great, right? I'm all so good.
Yeah.
Can I ask why you send these comments privately?
We used to, Ray, when we met in person, after every speech, everyone had a piece of paper and you could jot things down, what you liked, how it made you feel, suggestions, and it would the person would get them and they could go home and read them. And it's just, sometimes if you wanted to say something, you're delicate sometimes after a speech. And if someone wanted to make a suggestion for improvement, it's just kind of maybe a little softer,
Yeah.
like that. But
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I figured it probably was for, but I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
So we're at time now for the timer to tell us if the speaker qualified.
Well, Bob did qualify.
Okay. I'd like to turn the gavel over to Alex to run the evaluation section of the meeting. Alex, are you there?
I am here, Art. Thank you so much. I believe the evaluator for the speech would be Dan. Dan, would you be ready to do your evaluation now, or you would like to do it later?
You're muted.
Oh, Dan's muted. Okay.
I'm not muted. I was muted, but that was in the past. I could do my evaluation now.
Very good.
Fellow Toastmasters, Madam General Evaluator, honored guest, and especially Bob. I think we all enjoyed hearing this project from Bob and listening to him field questions based on the story. My overall initial impression is that he enjoyed doing it, and that translated to us enjoying the experience along with him. In the evaluation form, it's got an interesting setup. It asks, what did the speaker excel at? What might they want to work on? What would be something they could challenge themselves with? And then there are the notes about different techniques of delivery. I'm going to start with those general comments of what was excelled on, etc. In that section, I thought it was notable that Bob excelled at his speech organization. He had his theme about you are what you think about. You can overcome negative thoughts based on bad experience. And he developed his speech very systematically from there. So I thought a strong point was the organization. Another strong point was his finish. He had a challenge to the audience. Based on what we had heard, he said, just like wrong way, I challenge you to never give up. Shake off the past and go for it. I always like to hear a challenge at the end. We know what it is that Bob's trying to teach us with his presentation. As far as something you might want to work on, I'll note first that I thought Bob was particularly good when he was answering his questions of taking the question related more to his presentation, and then bringing in his own experience to parallel along with it. That's a good technique. I thought something you might want to try is to also bring that into your formal presentation. So if you were talking about how Wrong Way was feeling so upset when he made this huge blunder, you could at the same time bring in your own experience of having that huge negative emotion when you made a really big mistake, or saying to the audience, have you ever had an experience like that? We can all imagine how upsetting that would be. To challenge yourself, I was thinking that if there were lulls in the audience asking you questions, you might want to have a few hypothetical questions available that you could sort of force feed out to people to keep things going. Then I'm just really quickly going to touch on some of the presentation things that ask, how is the clarity of the spoken language? I thought excellent. Vocal variety, very accomplished. Eye contact, especially good during questions. Gestures, very good and natural. And the last I'll mention is audience awareness. I thought that it was clear from his Q&A that he listened closely and responded specifically.
Thank you, Dan. Now it's time for the table topics section of our meeting. Jean Symington Craig is our table topics master this evening. Jean, would you like to take over?
Just a moment here. I was reviewing my roles today on the fly. I had myself as timer and president, but I did not. I'm apologizing. I have not done my questions. So here we go. We're going to be flexible. That's bad on me. Okay. Who would like to start? We'll show Ray how it's done. Okay, Art. Tell us about a time when you had no idea what steps to take next. Tell us about a time when you had no idea what steps to take next. And Ray, the theme of the meeting tonight is, I have no idea. So our questions are going to be around that theme.
And just one quick thing. Jean, did you need me to time at this point?
Yes, that would be helpful because I'm also evaluating.
Yes.
Or Alex, what?
Yeah, I was going to ask because I saw Karthik as the evaluator for this round. Do you want me to evaluate, or you?
No, because it's not going to be that long. Art, do we have time for a couple? Well, we'll just see. Art, tell me when we're done. Okay. Okay, so did Art go? No, he hasn't gone yet. All right. back to Art. Little clarification.
Yeah. So, fellow Toastmasters, I came up against a situation where I had no idea what was required of me. When I was in my second year of college, over the summer, I went home to Seattle and took a job at 5 a.m. in the morning, was starting time, at this little hole in the wall breakfast coffee shop that was close to my apartment. I could walk there and get to work. I was in charge of the dish run and running the dishwasher to do all the plates and cups and such that the customers used. And I thought my job consisted of keeping the supply of clean dishes always available. But it turned out that I was expected to also memorize the menu and be able to take orders from customers. And on the third day of this job, when I hadn't successfully memorized everything on the menu with prices and mastered operation of the dishwashing machine, I was let go, summarily fired. It was a case of not having had any idea what I was truly being hired to accomplish. But I didn't let it stop me. I went ahead and took another dishwashing job at a much superior restaurant and ended up in charge of the whole back room of the kitchen, washing everything and making more money, and was very happy that I had gotten fired from the first job where I had no idea what to do. Thanks for the question.
Okay. Who would like to go next?
Raymond.
So,
Ray,
question.
Yeah, so I'm just going to be pushing questions out there because of my
Yeah.
lack of a list at this point.
Mhm.
Raymond, tell us about a time when not only did you not know what to do, had no idea, but had to make a decision. Am I going to fake it until I make it? Or am I going to just own up that I have no idea what to do, and how will that affect my work situation where this is happening?
Yeah, I can think of one immediately. When I took that job to do these product educational presentations, it was all over the country, and so I was out on the West Coast the very first trip out, and the owner of the company actually came out with me and wrote down the whole presentation, which could take 15 minutes, or it could take, depending on questions and all that other stuff, it could take an hour. But the owner of the company gave me this little piece of paper. It couldn't have been any bigger than this, maybe a couple of playing cards. And he wrote down the picture of an eyeball and movement in the sky. And so it was this pictorial presentation. He drew these things, and he said, okay, this means this means that, and then this means this. And he said, I'm going back to Iowa. See you later. And he left. And 15, 20 minutes later, these architects come out for a presentation. And I'm like, what the heck am I doing? I had no idea. Had no idea what I was going to do. And then it dawned on me that these people had no idea what the presentation was going to be. And so I faked it till I made it. And I actually developed over time, because I had done that. I did that for 8 years. And so I had plenty of time to really scrub it, I guess you could call it. And I still use those same principles. And, I think that I saved that piece of paper and I had it, what do you call it? Not manilaed, but, I had it
Laminated.
I had it
Yeah.
laminated as like a souvenir because I thought it was so funny. But I got really good at it and I could just flow with it. So, but it took some time. But I realized that these people had no idea what they were expecting themselves. And so I did. I faked it till I made it. And then I had a lot of fun with it.
Okay. All right.
So we are out of time for table topics.
Yeah, I thought we might, I thought I could make it. I was going to fake it till I made it on the questions here. Okay. All right, so we're done. We had a longer presentation from Bob. We usually have 15 minutes of table topics and kind of get ourselves lubed up with our muscles, impromptu muscles. But that's good. So we have Bob and Art. And I'm the evaluator. So first, let's just ask, Dan, you were timing. Did both of our speakers qualify?
Art qualified.
Art qualified.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yep. So
Just so Ray doesn't misunderstand, that simply means you went over the allowable time.
Yeah, I usually
Yeah.
do.
yeah. Well, we can help you with that, Ray. We can help you to have fun within the time constraints.
Mhm.
So, okay. So we don't need to vote tonight on our table topics because we do have one qualifier. I will go ahead and give my evaluation of the table topics. And again, mentioning for Ray's benefit, Toastmasters evaluation is the foundation of Toastmasters. It's how we all help each other to grow, and it's nothing that is in stone. So if something you hear sounds good and seems relevant, then you can take it. But if something doesn't sound relevant, then you don't have to do anything. It's all just opinions. But that's how we grow. So, and we evaluate just about everything in the meeting. So without further ado, Art had the question, was there a time when he had no idea what to do and what was happening? I don't know how many people have ever waitressed or done a food service type job. I mean, it is hard. And I used to have nightmares many years after I did everything's, but anyway, so Art told us a story that I think many of us could relate to. I liked that he came back around at the end of his talk, emphasizing, repeating the question, basically, bringing a conclusion in. So at the end, he did say he had no idea of the work that was required, basically what he was signing up for. And with echoes of Bob's talk, he got fired and he had to go somewhere else, but he turned it around and learned and became a major domo, whatever that word is, at the new place. So there was an echo of Bob's talk there too. I would just say that to the degree Art could maybe paint a little bit more visuals in his word choice. Art is very good with word choice and his vocabulary is excellent. So I think he could kind of give us a little bit of, the pileup that was happening as he was trying to manage all these responsibilities. And of course, everything in a restaurant flows. One thing, they're dominoes. So if one part is messing up, the next part is messing up. Anyway, he could have possibly, just as a content suggestion, given a little more color in that area. Ray had the question about basically not knowing what to do. But then in a work situation, is he going to fake it till he makes it? Or is he going to just say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Hello, is there any training here? What happened to the training? Which is kind of Art's situation too. Is somebody timing me, by the way? I am not timing myself. Woo, woo. So many hats, only so many hats I can wear at the same time. Anyway, I can feel I've only got 2 people, so how bad can it be? And so Ray addressed the question. He hit the ball squarely. He had a story, a personal story, which is always an effective way to enliven and engage the audience. He did say he went with the fake it until he made it approach. And I liked really the way Ray seemed very comfortable with self-deprecating humor. He was kind of tongue-in-cheek and sort of laughing a little bit about his own anxiety and what was going on in it. But he was laughing at, so it looks like he was having fun recalling it. And that made me feel good in the audience, made me want to chuckle along with Ray. So I think that was a very good suggestion. Today I told Ray, we were talking completely different subject. Ray was in that conversation was using his hands quite a bit. This is earlier in the day. And, and of course, here we are in these Zoom boxes. But the one thing I would suggest for Ray for a future time would be use that natural gesture inclination that he already has to fill up his box and enliven and enhance his talk, putting more energy in there. So really great to hear from both of our speakers tonight. I will turn it back to our general evaluator, Alex.
Thank you so much, Jean. I just wanted to check with the timer if our evaluators qualified tonight.
Dan qualified, and since I'm the judge, jury, and executioner, I'm going to say I qualified too, because how much could I be over for 2 people? I mean, sometimes we do 4 or 5, so okay, bad on me, but
All right.
okay, so we have 2 evaluators.
Yeah.
So what go ahead, you tell people what we should do.
Sure. So we do have 2 evaluators, so we can now vote for the best evaluator. And we can do that by sending a direct message to Art, who is our Toastmaster for the night. And you can just put eval in the front and then your choice of the evaluator. We have Jean or Dan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we could also vote for the best speaker for the the table topics. Let me check with the timer again if our speakers qualify.
Art qualified.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we don't need to vote since we only had 2.
Right.
Just for the evaluators.
Oh, were you asking for the evaluator times or the
No,
table
yeah,
topics?
no, I asked for both. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Are you wanting me to go ahead and give the times then?
Let me see. Yeah, because you're gonna do the first report. So yeah, so I'll call the timers reports then.
Okay.
Mhm.
Bob's speech was 15 minutes, 20 seconds. Dan, as the evaluator, was 3 minutes and 28 seconds. Really shut it down there right at the right time. Table topics, Art was 2 minutes and 28 seconds. Ray was 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Mine was the wild card evaluation. I don't know. And was there anyone else that I needed to evaluate? I mean, I needed to time? I think that's everybody, isn't it? Okay, so that's my report, Madam General Evaluator.
Great, thank you so much, Jean. Okay, so the next report will be the grammarian report. We'll ask Bob.
Oh,
Bob, could you please share with us?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Or General Lauer, excuse me. I don't believe I've heard the word ensuing used today in any of the speeches. Did I miss it? Did anybody say it? I don't think
it's
so.
a good word. It's a good word. Don't let it get you down if it didn't get used. It's a good word.
All right. Moving on from there, as far as any fancy things, only because I gave the speech on fire. So when Art reiterated, he said it again on fire, it just kind of stuck to me. So that's why I wrote down for Art. Ray, he had some interesting phrases. Picture of an eyeball. It's kind of unusual. And then it was kind of funny how he said, I'm going back to Iowa. Like I'm going home or something. And then in addition to that, says, what the heck am I doing here? I like your delivery, Ray. I mean, they're funny quotes, but the delivery you put them out there just amplified them. And then, of course, I faked it till I make it. Jean, set up like a dominoes words. I like that. You use words as dominoes. That's interesting. Hit the ball squarely. It's a good one. And then you said something self, and I didn't quite catch the word humor. You used the word
Deprecating.
I knew you said something in there, and I didn't, but I thought it was worthy of commenting, whatever it meant.
Yeah, no, it's self-deprecating, meaning that when you deprecate something or someone, you're putting them down.
Okay.
But when you're self-deprecating, you're putting yourself down, which is a lot of times the audience just loves that because you makes you look humble and everybody can relate. So that's what self-deprecating.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. And that is my report. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, so the next report will be the accounting report. It will come from Art. Art, could you please share your report with us?
Yes. Ray used a version of or 10 times or more, and the word and to string together sentences twice. Jean used 3 times, so twice, and once. That's my report.
Thank you, Art. Okay, so moving on in our agenda, we have the joke master, who will be me, and I have a few jokes here prepared for us. And these jokes you have to guess. I will give you a few minutes just to try to guess.
Oh, these are hard.
Yeah, she has good riddles.
It's a lot of work. She makes us work.
True. I love those. Okay. What would be bears, the animal? What would bears be without bees? What would bears be without bees?
Hungry. For the honey,
Good option.
but not it.
So, okay, so what would bears be without bees?
Ears.
Very good.
What?
Very good.
What's the answer?
Ears. Bears
Oh.
without bees would be ears.
Oh, that's okay.
But Art's got it. Okay. What do you call a pile of cats?
Pile of cats?
What do you call a pile of cats? No guesses? It's a mountain.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you can still redeem yourself.
Okay. What is red and is bad for your teeth? What is red and is bad for your teeth?
Fireballs.
I was thinking that those red hot cinnamon. Yeah.
Nope. It's a brick.
That would be bad too.
What was the question again?
What is red and is bad for your teeth?
A brick?
A brick. Mhm.
Like somebody's throwing a brick in your mouth?
Yeah.
Where did you grow up, Alex? This is...
And the last one. Why did the invisible man turn down the job offer? Why did the invisible man turn down the job offer?
He could see through it that it wasn't. Oh, Art, go.
He couldn't see himself doing the job.
There you go. Yeah, that's true.
Oh my gosh, Art.
He's so good.
I didn't know Art was so twisted. I knew Alex was. We know this.
And those are the jokes for the night.
Yay!
All right. So moving forward, we have the general evaluation. And I am the general evaluator, so I'll be evaluating the evaluators. So we had two evaluators tonight. We had Dan evaluating the speech. Sorry, Bento is being very vocal. Dan evaluated Bob's speech. So Dan started by greeting the audience. He noticed the organization of the speech. Like a good part of his evaluation was just to point out how well structured was the speech. He also noticed good vocal variety, good gestures, and audience awareness. And he gave some options to challenge Bob for his next speech, to include some prepared questions, just in case the audience doesn't have one, so you can come up with one. So I really like this suggestion. I also liked the way that he evaluated based on the structure of the speech, not much of the content. He was very focused on the structure and the organization of the speech. And I don't have any suggestions to Dan. I thought that was a very good and complete evaluation for Bob. Thank you, Dan. And Jean had two speakers tonight for the table topics. She evaluated Art and Ray. And for Art, he got the question, tell us about a time you had no idea about the steps that you're taking next. And she covered some of the main points of the speech. So again, she didn't focus only on the speech content, but she focused on just the main points, just to bring the speech back to life as she was developing her evaluation. She noticed some good gestures that Art used, and she had a suggestion for him about the word choice, just to selected better words, just to give more color to the speech, and more visuals, as well as how he managed the responsibilities of the role of the story that he was telling about. I also don't have a suggestion. I think Jean covered also the structure, not much of the content of the speech. And I really like also how she related to her own experience when she brought, like, if, let's see who else didn't work in restaurants and have a similar situation. She even brought her own experience having dreams of the job that she had in the past. So I thought that was a very good and complete evaluation. And for Ray, she had, the question was, I believe that was the question, if you are in a situation that you don't know what to do you fake until you make it? And she pointed out that Ray addressed the question and he made it very clear that he would fake until he make it. He developed based on that. So he first answered the question and then he developed the story by sharing a personal story. And let's see. She noticed that he stayed very clear with his story and kept the audience engaged. He used humor and he was having fun with delivering the story. She also noticed some good gestures. I didn't catch a suggestion from Jim, I didn't catch a suggestion for Ray. So my suggestion would be just to give a suggestion so he can use for his next speech. And that's my evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And with that, I will turn the meeting back to our Toastmaster, who is Art.
Yes, it's time for meeting awards. We have a best speaker of the evening. In the person of Bob Fogel.
Best speaker.
And we have a best evaluator of the evening in the person of Jean Craig. We don't actually have a vote. We didn't ask for a vote on the table topics speakers. I think that was because there was only one qualifier.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So.
So that was me.
Yeah.
Ray, it's always a victory when I speak within the allotted time.
Yeah. Even hard cases they can get through this. They can grow.
That does it for meeting awards. I'll return the gavel to our president, Jean, for wrapping up the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. All right. Well, once again, we've learned a lot about each other in these questions. Bob and the wrong way gentlemen, we've got that vision there as well. So thank you for everyone's contributions. We want to ask Ray. Ray gets extra points because he stepped up and took a pitch on the table topics and did quite well. You know, what was it? It was, anyway, it was maybe 15 seconds more than it. That's pretty good for a new person, for sure, because it's hard to stop sometimes. But anyway, Ray, quick question. Is there something about the meeting that you enjoyed?
Your camaraderie.
Camaraderie.
Your camaraderie here with the clapping, supporting each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's very sweet.
Like that. Yeah. We like that too, actually, don't we? Those of us.
Yeah, I mean, and you holding up the little things for somebody that, gets the award. That's yeah, I like that.
Yeah, well, very good. Very good. We'd love to have you come back, Ray, and we can discuss if there's questions you have and how to tailor Toastmasters to what you're doing. We left you the brochure today, and Toastmasters.org is the website. You noticed Bob was doing in the introduction, he was doing a project from level 4 of the presentation mastery path. So this is all references to the education program that Toastmasters lays out for learning prepared speeches and building skills. It's a whole subject, but that's a good place to start on Toastmasters.org, going into education programs and the education path. It's called Pathways. It's called Pathways. That's the name. And there's a lot of content. And basically 2 things is you are online, you get all material, you have videos, you have interactive material, you're given an assignment, you work on all that, and you can do that all on your own, but then you present at the meeting. So you come and you do the presentation. So that's what Bob did today. And that would be, that's how you progress. But that's just one skill. That presentation where you're prepared and you know what you're doing is one thing. But then we also tonight practiced our table topics, our impromptu speaking. And then we also practiced evaluation, which is very useful for anything that you're doing. What's the standard? How is the performance meeting the standard? How is it not meeting the standard? And what would it take to make it meet the standard? That kind of thing is useful for managers and any kind of salespeople. You know, how do we make that fit? So those are muscles that we're all working on every week. So we'd love to have you come back, and I'm happy to talk to you separately. And you've got my number and everything. So
yeah.
I'm going to mention for officers here, the officer training, just mentioning the big district-wide training is on December 5th, which is a Tuesday, 6:30 to 7:45. And I think it's all going to be on Zoom. We can just register, sign up, and then pop right over to our meeting here at the end of that training. So keep your eyes out for that. Make sure you've got a space in your calendar. If you can, I think Alex said she had a conflict. But it's nice to get it done and then we're done. So you'll keep an eye out for makeups and things like that.
We do.
Let's see. I do want to give a shout out to Sean, although he was not able to be on our call tonight. Sean and I did some brochure deliveries, and Sean had an errand with Ray, and so we went to Ray's. We just had fun the whole morning. We just had fun. We went to the Chamber of Commerce and talked to the director wasn't in, but we talked to somebody else. So we have some ideas for our next officer meeting. Sean is, I'd say, directly related to Ray being here tonight, because even though Ray and I are old friends, I don't know that I would cross paths with him without Sean today. Yeah. So yay to Sean, because that's how the club grows and how everything gets more interesting as we have different people that are able to come and we spread the word, and then the camaraderie just gets bigger and bigger. So with that, it's 9:00. We are going to end on time. I'm going to adjourn the meeting. If anyone wants to stay on, they can, but otherwise, class dismissed. Here we go. Meeting is adjourned.